Hello. Have, by the way, have you seen my dog? This is our porcelain version of Denny. If you don't know who Denny is, you have to go and check out with Woody. But I've come to talk to you today about Mr. Cummings. He of the strange advice. So Cummings is back. Is back in the news again. You can't seem to get rid of Cummings. He's always coming and going. And sad man. What is he trying to do? He's trying to remain relevant. He is, in other words, the Katie Hopkins of number 10. And so we shouldn't be surprised that it keeps popping up again and again and again. Incidentally, I don't know who Katie Hopkins is. I only know Katie Hopkins because she's so desperate to keep in the news. Now, today we learn that Cummings is saying that Boris was very insensitive and thoughtless. Well, we know that. There is nothing new in what Mr. Cummings is telling us. In fact, I signed up to Mr. Cummings' blog because I thought, this would be really exciting. Let's see if I can find out something new. There is nothing new in Cummings' blog. Just don't go through the process, except that when you first sign up to it, it looks as if you've got to pay a huge amount to actually get anything out of it. In fact, most of it is free. But why would we be surprised at that? Mr. Cummings has nothing to say. Tittle tattle. He offers nothing except a confirmation that he is nasty and unrelenting. Now, it seems to me that the pandemic breaks down into three groups at the moment. We've got people who accept the vaccine. That's the dominant group in the UK. Then in number two, we've got the anti-lockers down, the people who don't like the idea of being locked down. And in a way, they're sort of winning. And on the 16th of August, there will be further de-locking down and the test and trace thing. If you are pinged, you won't have to isolate, providing you've been vaccinated. Well, I must say, I do wonder about this. 16th of August. Why that date? Has Boris suddenly taken a leaf out of the Greek Orthodox Church and he wants to sort of respect the celebration of the Dormition of the Virgin? I think not somehow. I think he's literally put a pin in the calendar and that's where we're going to go. It's rather like that wonderful scene in Dr. Dolittle. I'm thinking of the 1960s film with Rex Harrison and Samantha Egger. And they decide where they're going to go on this boat, and they stick in the pin where the pin goes, then we go, and they sing this delightful song. I can imagine Boris singing a delightful song and then sticking in the pin where the pin goes, then we go. We'll go to Rurity. I'll chase that sea snail from here to Tasmania. That's one of the lines. You can imagine Boris saying that, can't you? So I think there is no sense to the 16th of August at all. I'd love to see the reasoning between the 16th of August. So if the 16th of August is simply a pinprick, why can't we have a pinprick elsewhere? Suddenly this reminds me of Matt Hancock. Ooh, a pinprick, a pinprick. No, it's your tickling stick. Oh, Gina, sorry. And track and trace, we know at the same time, is faulty. We know that it's pinging people who have never been in contact with each other. It's about ideology. It didn't work to start with. It's not working now. And moreover, we now learn that tests are unavailable. So if tests are unavailable, what is the government going to say? Oh, no tests. All back into lockdown. All back into lockdown. So there we are. We've got the dominant group of people who are accepting vaccine. We've got the other group of people who are against the lockdown. And we've got the third group of people who are against the vaccine. Now, this group of people is whipped up by some extraordinary ideas, and they simply haven't looked at history. And if they look at history, they would discover the history of vaccination. And the history of vaccination goes back a little bit further than Edward Jenner. Edward Jenner is the person who introduced cow vaccines or cowpox, vaccines taken from cowpox. And he's the person sort of really behind the smallpox vaccine that got rid of smallpox. And it was sort of pushed forward by people like Napoleon. Napoleon's army got everybody vaccinated. Why is a vaccine called a vaccine? Because it comes from the Latin word for cow, from cowpox. The Latin word for cow is vacca. But we can go a little bit further back than Edward Jenner, because there's this amazing fellow in America called Onesimus, and he's clearly named after the slave in the letter of St. Paul to Philemon, a name which is often mispronounced in the pulpit, I note. I do remember hearing one person call him Onesimus. Onesimus, wonderful Greek name. And Onesimus explained to, Onesimus himself in 1715 was a slave. And he explained to Cotton Mather, I think, that in wherever he was from, I'm not sure about that, they had an approach to virulent disease, which was to take a swab from the diseased arm, from a pus or pustule or something horrible, and then scrape it into the arm of somebody who's not diseased, so they are exposed to a tiny amount of the disease. And this was then picked up by a doctor in Boston. And there was one particular doctor who was quite keen on it, and he was called Zabdale Boyson, I think, and he was so vilified for practicing what was called variolation that he spent 2 weeks hiding in a cupboard from people who were trying to lynch him because he was saving their lives. This variolation worked in the majority of cases. It worked. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Now, we have that story from America, but at the same time we have another story from Istanbul, from Constantinople, and from by virtue of a lady called Lady Mary Wortley Montagu. And she was the wife of the British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire at the time. And I'm very interested because I know where they lived. I've been over there because Edward Lear was later friends with the British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire. So I remember going there and drawing the house. Very, very beautiful house on the edge of the sea. And so she comes back to England with the same story, that this is what they do in Turkey. And by the way, if you're from Turkey, Bayram Mubarak for today, the beginning of the celebration of Bayram, all about Abraham and the sacrifice, which doesn't take place, or which is replaced by an animal. And Lady Mary Wortley Montagu takes this idea of variolation back to England, and she persuades the Prince of Wales, no less, to have his children variolated against smallpox, and it is successful. And that in turn eventually leads Edward Jenner to work on an alternative, a more sort of a simpler method using cowpox, using the harmless cowpox disease taken from cows and injecting that into people. So that by 1975, I think, there was a little boy called Rahima Bamu, who was the last person to have suffered from smallpox in the world. Smallpox was eradicated because the vaccine worked. So I don't have a lot of sympathy, I'm afraid. I understand, but I don't have a lot of sympathy for the anti-vacciners. I have a lot more sympathy for those people who question whether the lockdown should continue or whether the lockdown should stop. I think there's room for a debate. I think there's serious room for a debate about the 16th of August. At the moment, because of this absurd test and trace thing, which we are obsessed with in this country, we think, or at least the government is telling us, that it's a good thing. All you have to do is look at what other countries are doing. All countries are saying they've actually got the best policy. Some of them actually have, and we are not among them. We, in the UK, we are not leading the way in fighting this pandemic. We're doing quite well, but other countries are doing better. Did you know, for example, in New Zealand, they have had no incidents of coronavirus for 4 months. In Australia, where Katie Hopkins, who is Katie Hopkins? In Australia, where Katie Hopkins has just been threatening to open the door of her quarantined apartment on the 28th floor of a block, I believe, of people who are quarantining, having arrived in the country. She was taunting her guards and saying, if they come up here with their meals, we're supposed to leave 30 seconds before we open the door. I will rush to the door, she says, and I will be wearing nothing, not even my face mask. And I will terrify them. I will get the management to come up here and rebuke me. Silly lady, really. And she was thrown out of Australia, and one Australian MP who wears this rather stylish hat, doesn't have corks on it, but only just. And he was saying, oh, you can pack your bongo and get out of the country. And was rather pleased that he'd said the same thing about Johnny Depp's dog. So that was his defence. I think there's a big difference between Johnny Depp and Katie Hopkins. I mean, I know who Johnny Depp is. Katie Hopkins, I looked her up. I'm still none the wiser. I'm still none the wiser. Who is this woman? Who is Katie Hopkins? Well, obviously she's up there with Cummings in trying to remain relevant, in trying to remain in the news, and she seems to have achieved that. She's been plastered across the front page in a way that she probably wouldn't have been plastered across the apartment building had she opened the door without a face mask on. But frankly, I would prefer, if I've got to have somebody from The Apprentice, I would prefer the wonderful Ryan Mark. At least I know who he is, and at least he's got something sensible, always got something sensible to say. So, I don't think we should be choosing the people we listen to by looking around to see who's commanding attention on the front pages of The Sun or the tabloids. We should be looking around. So this is what I'm saying, really. Forget Cummings, forget Katie Hopkins, and look instead at the issues that lie underneath. And one of the biggest issues is whether or not the trace and track, or the track and trace app, is efficacious. As I said the other day, I have downloaded it onto my phone and I still can't make it work. So for me, it doesn't work. Now that may be the fact that my phone is fairly maladroit, or I'm fairly maladroit when it comes to operating an iPhone. But equally, the thought does go through my mind that it may be somebody else's fault. I'm not convinced the track and trace thing works. And on those few occasions when I have been told to isolate because I've been pinged, or I think I was written to because somebody else told me, and I certainly wasn't to do with the app. and I was told to quarantine, and I did, I had some very, very bizarre and completely pointless telephone calls. I don't see that that is efficacious in any way. We're not going to save the world by making telephone calls from a telephone centre. All we're going to do that is run a second-rate bank like HSBC. But there we are. Look, if you want to follow me, please do so. I'd be really excited to have you on board. Please subscribe to my channel. Tell other people to subscribe to the channel. I'm sure we're going to have lots and lots of exciting things to say as the summer grinds on, and as other outlets sort of fail to have to find things to say and go on holiday or don't go on holiday. Anyway, look, telephone. No, don't telephone. Ring the bell. I've just had a bell. Why would I have had a bell? Maybe that's HSBC pretending to call back again. Anyway, have fun. Bye-bye.